Blessed to be part of your day. Coming up, more of your phone calls. First, we go to William Geen joining us from AliPac. Good morning, sir.
Good morning from Washington, D.C. How are you, Kevin?
Well, good to have you in D.C. First and foremost, how did you survive the hurricane?
Well, we did okay in Raleigh. We just had some minor damage because luckily for us, unfortunately for South Carolina, in the last 48 hours or so before the storm hit land, they changed the forecast. It was headed straight for Raleigh, but then they adjusted it to where it was going to move a little bit, pivot south a bit into South Carolina, which spared our area a lot of the stuff. But our prayers and hearts and prayers go out for all the people down there on the coastal regions of North and South Carolina that are still a heck of a mess, heck of a cleanup, and a lot of homes and livelihoods that have been severely damaged or lost.
Well, that is reassuring, at least for the Raleigh area. So what are you doing in D.C.?
Well, I'm trying to avoid this madness over there with the Kavanaugh stuff on the Senate side. Mostly over on the House side today, we're conducting a first-of-its-kind lobbying effort. To our knowledge, we are the first group to bring people and organize people on the ground in Washington, D.C. to lobby against the extensive censorship of conservatives that's being conducted by Silicon Valley corporations such as Facebook, Twitter, and Google. Now, how does this relate to illegal immigration? Is this a dilution of our main message? The truth of the matter is our operations at AliPac have been severely hindered and damaged by this censorship. It appears that we're actually sort of pioneers in this type of censorship, and we're targeted first before things became as extensive as they have now. And this is starting to be reported more. There's members of Congress talking about this issue. President Trump is talking about this issue. There are congressional hearings on both the Senate and House side starting to happen. So this is very much an emerging issue. And since we have a story to tell about all the different abuses AliPac has experienced, which you can read. It's a 12-page detailed report in the announcement section of alipac.us. That's www.alipac.us. But we're also tracking, we ask our online activists at AliPac to fan out and search the web and see what type of information we could pull in. And as of this morning, we're tracking over 77 different nonviolent and racially inclusive organizations, conservative organizations like AliPac, organizations, lawmakers, candidates, online media sources, activists that are being censored, shadow banned, abused by these Silicon Valley corporations. And we contend that this is happening because these companies intend to affect the outcome of the elections and take control of the United States elections, laws, and policies through their manipulation of what information people can and cannot see, while at the same time building a surveillance state around us. I mean, everything that you type in online these days it's information that belongs to someone else. So the American public is finding ourselves at a great disadvantage of being under a surveillance state technology in all directions that is intent upon electing Democrat socialists to office.
Our great friend William Geen joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning here. He's live in Washington, D.C. We're here in the Treasure Valley of Idaho talking about, believe it or not, censorship. So what do you say to the argument where they say, well, this is a private thing. You don't need to use Google. You don't need to use Facebook. We decide we're the gatekeepers because we own the platform.
Well, and I completely understand that. I support businesses being free and what they want to do themselves. But we're not talking about a bakery here or some local shop. At this point, yes, your company or new company or your campaign or your organization can choose to not use Google, Facebook, or Twitter, but that would be the equivalent of you choosing not to use the phone company and the power company. You are not going to succeed. You are not going to win. You are going to fail. You're going to lose. You're going to go out of business in today's world. That's the truth of the matter. These companies now rise to the level of utilities, and the courts are starting to find as public spaces. And so imagine if in the United States of America, a phone company that was run by liberals like Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook decided that Republicans will pay twice as much for their services than Democrats and be able to make half the calls. Or the power company said, we're going to charge this Republican campaign over here twice as much for energy and only allow them to use half as much energy in their office as their Democrat opponents. This would decide the outcome of the election, and that is exactly what is happening here on these platforms. So while we want companies to be able to set rules and for people to have to obey those rules, they should be applied equally to all Americans. And that's not what is happening. American Christians, conservatives, Republican, Trump voters, or any non-socialist or people who oppose socialism are being targeted for violations of their American civil rights. And so these are becoming the public spaces of this decade, and we have to protect Americans' civil liberties here. Otherwise, if you're a conservative and you're like, well, I just don't want to regulate anybody and I don't want anybody to do anything about this because of freedom. Okay, if that's your opinion and you're sticking to it and you won't consider anything else, please know you're giving up permanent control of the country, because we firmly believe, as do many others, that these companies now have the power to decide who does and does not win, who wins elections and who doesn't, which organizations will succeed and which do not, and which companies will succeed and which do not.
Our great friend William Geen joining us here. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. What do you make of the Kavanaugh hearings?
Well, before I say that, Kevin, can I bring up something from the past? You know, here I am in D.C. fighting against censorship, and I'm not sure if today is the day to retell the story, if we ever should, but I wanted you to know that the other day while I was stomping around up here, I will never forget the call I got from you in Tennessee that time after you had worked here in North Carolina, where you experienced a great deal of censorship. And you called me, what was it, like 3 years later or something like that?
You're right, where I was.
That's us.
Yeah. Go ahead. And if you want to talk about it, go ahead. Sure.
Well, I mean, you were working at the Raleigh station, I think it was WPTF, and illegal immigration issues had become a hot topic because some lawmakers were trying to give in-state tuition for illegal immigrants. And this is back when I first started Alley Packing, when I was doing about 2003 and 2004. And at first I was able to come on your show and fight the bill, but after the bill collapsed, I didn't hear from you anymore. I sent you emails and stuff, and I didn't get any response. And I was like, well, I guess, Kevin has different interests now than illegal immigration, or, I hope he's not offended by something I may have said or done or something. In my case, I have to be careful about what other people misinterpret that I say or do. And I didn't hear anything from you, and I can't remember. It was years later. I know it was years, but I can't tell you how long it was. Maybe you could fill me in on how long it was between 03. When did you start working in Tennessee or
Yeah, I was in Tennessee in 06, and look, you probably forget this one. I remember when you and I were on NBC 13 in Raleigh. Now it's a new station, and they told you, the political show, they said if you say illegal alien again, they're not going to let you on the show. You remember that one?
Yeah. They told me that I couldn't say what I could and couldn't say and what terms I couldn't use. But I remember it was 2 or 3 years later, I get a call from your producer or your assistant with the Kevin Miller show that's now in Tennessee, yeah. and I was like, okay, well this ought to be interesting. And I get on the show, and you came on, and you said, William, I've been waiting a long time to tell you this. But I wanted to wait until I was working with the company where I was able to express myself freely. I wanted you to know that I'm sorry that I didn't respond to your emails or calls and didn't have you on the show anymore. But one of the reasons I left, and I'm here now where I can conduct my show with freedom, is that I was told that if I ever had William Geen on my show again, I'd be fired. And now that I'm someplace where I'm safe to express myself, I want to have you back on and have a conversation. And I think, you and I have probably been having an interview and conversation like this at least a couple of times a year now since 2006.
No, I agree, and I admire you, and I admire what you've been through and what you continue to do. You could take the easy way out, get a job, have a great life, not be vilified. It's funny when the social media people talk about censorship and civility, it only goes one way. You could talk for hours about how people have threatened you, have called you names, all these allegations that we see now with Judge Kavanaugh. But if you're a conservative on social media, you are targeted, and Facebook doesn't seem to care.
Well, I just want to make sure that when people hear you and I having an interview and having a conversation, that they don't take it for granted. You know, they're not just driving down the road or turning on the radio and saying, oh, well, there's Kevin Miller having another interview. They have to realize that what we're talking about and the fact that you and I are talking at all on the air is not possible in, I'd say, probably many, many places in the country now. And I don't know if you've heard about this, but your old station, WPTF, they finally got rid of Bill LeMay over the last year. They pushed Bill LeMay out. And the rumor was that the station that there, which had developed a Spanish language wing of it or whatever, was actually employing illegal immigrants inside the station. So for the last couple of years that LeMay was still on the air, I was barely able to get on with him, and his producers and others that I knew inside the station were telling me that we all had to be super, super careful because LeMay was under duress, political duress, not to talk about illegal immigration. And I think one of the last interviews I did with him was right before the 2016 elections, and it was about Donald Trump and the issue of illegal immigration. And, I believe that election, the Trump election, or what happened and what LeMay and I and other people said, that was probably the beginning of the end for him, because the thing about these socialists, they don't like markets. They can't compete in markets. They can't. They require something we use in theater and movies, suspension of disbelief. For the movie featuring people running around in a galaxy far away, doing strange things to be believable, you have to suspend your disbelief to enjoy and believe. And you have to suspend your disbelief to be in the socialist mindset and all of the different hokey stuff that doesn't really translate into reality that they support and push. And so they can't stand opposition, because one person telling the truth can burst a big old bubble of their lies. And so that, and the other thing is, something about today's Democrats and socialists is that they really feel that they need to punish people who disagree with them. So if you are trying to work in a school system or in a media place or anywhere, it doesn't matter where you're at. No matter who you are and what you do, if you're not a socialist and they identify you and target you, their minds start scanning for any way they can punish you, from defriending you on Facebook, or not being your friend anymore, or giving your child a worse grade than they deserve, or trying to get you fired, or worse. It makes these smaller trespasses and transgressions against neighbors that they engage in. You can, if you study it and look at it and read some of the news with these Antifa people, while groups like mine are being censored on, that fighting illegal immigration being censored online, over on Facebook and Twitter, violent groups like Antifa are openly plotting violent revolution, assassinations, and ambushes of American conservatives, and they're free to roam. You can report them all day and night. And Silicon Valley protects their violent wing, while people who are merely trying to discuss the Kavanaugh thing or illegal immigration or abortion or gun rights or anything like that are getting socked and banned for hate speech or hateful content allegations, which are false. And so, it's really gotten to the point where a lot of the country is already under that, and they're hoping that more and more people will be fearful of them, because for each person they do punish, that they do censor, that they do mess with, they have a chilling effect on the public discourse that is very vital to the essence of what America is about. They send a message that if you are not one of them and you speak up, they're going to come for you. And once they take power or control over nations, historically over the last 100 years, these types of regimes have killed tens of millions of their own citizens.
William Geen, we always appreciate you, brother. Keep up the good fight, and good luck in the swamp there.
Hey, listen, we need help from everybody back home. People in all 50 states are making calls and sending emails to reinforce our D.C. operation called Operation Squeaky Wheel. And all that you need for that is in the announcement section at alipac.us. We really appreciate the support and folks joining our email alerts.
William Geen, take care. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, our old friend William Geen doing some old-time memory lane here. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
It's a very scary time for young men in America when you can be guilty of something that you may not be guilty of. This is a very difficult time.
The president fights back and the libs are mad. Your thoughts next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
I had one beer. Well, do you think it was? Nope, it was one beer. Oh, good. How did you get home? I don't remember. How'd you get there? I don't remember. Where is the place? I don't remember. How many years ago was it? I don't know. What neighborhood was it in? I don't know. Where's the house? I don't know. Upstairs, downstairs, where was it? I don't know. But I had one beer. That's the only thing I remember. And a man's life is in tatters. A man's life is shattered.
A man's life. With me now is Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono, a member of the Judiciary Committee and a Democrat. Senator Hirono, thanks for being with us. I'm wondering, first of all, your reaction to the president's comments tonight.
We can always count on the president to go down to the lowest common denominator, mock people, call people names, attack them.
Now, remember, this is Senator Mazie that went to the lowest common denominator. It goes back to what Bill Geen was speaking about when you're taking a look at the Democrats and the censorship and everything else. This is the same woman that said that men should shut up.
I expect the men in this country and the men in this committee, and many of them, believe me, because we all signed on to this letter to demand an FBI investigation. But really, guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country. And I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up.
Now, if Anderson Cooper was a man, he would have said, well, what about you, Senator? What about you? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to the phones. Brian in Nampa, thank you for your patience. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Hey, Kevin. I am not shutting up, and I am stepping up. So what do we do when somebody uses communication networking and character assassination and it comes out false? What do we do to that individual? I don't know about you. If Kavanaugh did do all this, he needs to be prosecuted for it. If he didn't do it, and all of this stuff from Ford and all these different women are exactly what I just explained, what do we do to those women? They should be prosecuted, and it should be blasted across the airwaves. And everybody should know that there are these types of women out there that will assassinate your character for profit and for gain. What is her donation amount up to? Last time I heard it was $800,000. That's a lot of money to accuse a man of rape. If, like I said, if he did this, he needs to be prosecuted. But if the FBI background comes back and there's nothing, then Ford, Feinstein, and everybody that was playing in this game, including all the Democratic Party that did this, the Republicans better prosecute them. That's what I got, Kevin.
Thank you, Brian. You have a great day.
You too.
KIDO Talk Radio, traffic and weather together. Our
Eric Everett. Democrats may be trying to move the goalpost every 5 minutes, but their goal has not moved an inch.
Dwight, thank you for your patience. Sorry we didn't get to you yesterday. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
That's okay, Kevin. Kevin, I'm calling today to talk about the juries, and that's plural. They are our greatest power. Jury nullification is the right and the power, and according to John Adams, the duty of the jury to refuse to enforce bad laws. Jury nullification and jury education and what I call jury revolution is a far better solution than Article 5 or its competing plan to revamp the Constitution. Thomas Jefferson said, trial by jury is the only anchor ever invented by man by which government can be held to the principles of the Constitution. Now, I happen to respect Thomas Jefferson, and I think probably virtually all your listeners respect Thomas Jefferson. They should give some thought to what he said, and they should look into jury nullification. I've been interested in this topic for 25, maybe 30 years, and it has amazed me the density of conservatives that they fail to pick up the best weapon that we have, which is jury nullification. Jury nullifications of laws kill entire government agencies. When you kill the law, you kill the agency that has the law. You want to get rid of the gun laws? Jury nullification. You want to get rid of the anti-vitamin, anti-freedom of healing laws? Jury nullifications. You want to get rid of the IRS? Jury nullifications. You want to get rid of the wacko environmental laws? Not all of them, but the wacko ones, jury nullifications. The grand jury may be the solution to the problem that we have with Twitter and Facebook, et cetera, the attacks on freedom of speech and freedom of the press. I'm not sure of it because I'm not sure if these things are an obvious violation of the law. If they are, the Ada County grand jury can indict these agents, these companies, because they operate in this jurisdiction. Now, in order for that to happen, there's going to have to be a jury revolution where the power of the people on the grand jury has been restored. And the prosecutors, who are now guilty of jury tampering with the grand jury by railroading the grand jury to do what the prosecutor, for his corrupt reasons, wants to do. The grand jurors and the people in general are going to have to overthrow this usurpation of the grand jury by prosecutors that happened about 100 years ago. We're going to have to overthrow that. We start the overthrow of the lawyers who have usurped both juries by jury nullifications. We have the power today to nullify the laws. Every jury nullification takes power away from government and returns it to the people. And we can use that power for all sorts of things that need cleaning up today.
Dwight, appreciate the one-stop shop, the grand juries instead of the Convention of States. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
I don't know if we can play that song anymore. Good morning. Thank you, Ray Amaya. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. So the president lays the smackdown in Mississippi, and I love this. The people say President Trump is dividing the country. It wasn't President Trump, as you just heard, that told all women to shut up.
I remember my college days, everybody was drinking. It was like normal. I was abnormal. It was totally normal. Everybody was drinking. And they used to drink a lot of beer. And there was nothing wrong. I just didn't choose to do that. But almost everybody else did. So I don't see anything wrong.
And the president, unlike the Republicans, is going his own way in defense of Brett Kavanaugh.
A lot is going to depend on what comes back from the FBI in terms of their additional number 7 investigation. But I think that Judge Kavanaugh is doing very well right now.
If Donald Trump had listened to the Republicans, if Donald Trump had listened to anybody, he wouldn't be elected president. Here is Susan Collins on the president.
The president's comments were just plain wrong.
Right. The president basically said she can remember having a beer, but can't remember this, this, and this, and you can ruin a man's life. Is there anything wrong with that? If you're asking me, I don't think so. Here's Jeff McFlake.
There's no time and no place for remarks like that, but to discuss something this sensitive at a political rally is just not right. It's just not right. I wish he hadn't have done it. And say it's kind of appalling.
I think appalling, really, McFlake. I believe the entire country that elected President Trump were waiting for him to sound the trumpets. Rally to the sound of the gunfire, everybody. The people that have sons and nephews and fathers saying, are we just going to let this happen in America today? The publisher of the Gem State Patriot, GemStatePatriot.com, Tea Party Bob joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today?
Not bad, and you?
I'm doing just wonderful. I just wanted to chat a minute about the gubernatorial primary. I'm only going to say this. Randy Priest, who is the person speaking in the commercial for Paulette, makes really nice hats, as I have 3 of them. But I think he has had the one covering his head on way too long. He's give us some fresh air.
He's the world-renowned hat guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My dad's got a couple hats from him.
Oh yeah.
He's like known all over the country. So the hat guy is the guy that's in the Paulette Jordan online ad because she can't afford TV advertising.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to this man. His brain must have, gone dead from having so much shadow on it all the time. No fresh air. And for the life of me, I do not understand why anyone would vote for this woman. She is nothing but a socialist. I have to agree with her on one thing, though, and that is we need to pay our teachers more and stop spending so much on unnecessary programs. Do nothing to provide a better education for our children.
Yeah, but everybody says that.
No, look, I think you'll agree with me. Having been a teacher yourself,
sure,
that it's not how much you spend on a student's education, as Brad always talks about it. It's the quality of the teachers that are behind the education process. That's how our children learn better. I'd also like to mention that Brad has been totally silent on a Medicaid expansion referendum, which, if passed, will move Idaho one step closer to socialism and will eventually cost the taxpayers of this state dearly and could eventually bankrupt the state. Why hasn't Brad come out against this referendum? I will tell you, it is because the medical lobby and the support they have given him throughout the years, which is nothing more than a perpetuation of cronyism, is still in force. We don't need any more to do nothing, say nothing politicians. We need men of action. And I will predict that we will not get much in the next 4 years. We're going to see a lot of inaction by this administration. We're going to see a government run by the crony money men and lobbies of the state. So get ready for higher fees and higher taxes. And where is Brad on the repeal of the grocery tax? I have not heard one word out of his mouth about this. This is a man who came out strongly and said, we got to get rid of it. As far as I'm concerned, we're going to have another 4 years of Butch Otter.
Well, you're a real positive Pete today.
Yes. Well, you have to tell the truth. If you don't tell the truth, it's like President Trump. It's nice to hear him fighting back for Judge Kavanaugh at the rally, because we don't hear a lot of, at least a lot of the Republican Party fighting back for him. All he did was tell the truth. So I guess it's true. That truth does hurt.
Well, what do you say to Congress or Senator Flake that said it's appalling?
Look, this man's a snowflake. They should put him up on a mountain, the highest peak someplace, and let's see how he can get down. I hope somebody lends him a parachute. The guy's an idiot. Why do you think he's not running? He can't get elected. He said so yesterday on the air. I couldn't get elected if I did this, if I asked for another week. Well, of course he couldn't. He knows that. And if he thinks he's running for president by going to New Hampshire for the second time, he's dumber than most people think he is. He's no better or no worse than Kasich. He's doing the same thing. Can you imagine these two guys running against Trump? What a couple of jerks. Who would possibly give them any money to run against Trump, aside from the liberals?
Tea Party Bob, good point.
You have a great day, my friend.
All right. Appreciate you. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Nick in Meridian, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Evan, buddy, how are you?
I'm okay, and you?
Not too bad.
It's
I
been a
call
while.
You out again. So that's just a couple minutes ago you were talking, what about the people that have sons and nephews and all? What about people that have daughters, man?
What about people that have daughters?
I'm talking about the Kavanaugh thing.
Well, go ahead.
Well, so what? Let's say Miss Miller was in place of Mrs. Ford or Dr. Ford.
Sure.
How would you feel then?
Go after my family. You're a real class act, aren't you?
Well,
you're a real class act, buddy. You know something? Here's the deal. What proof does Dr. Ford have?
What proof does Kavanaugh have?
So in other words, Dr. Ford or you, Nick, you could make up an allegation that I did something to you. And going by the same standards of the Senate, they would believe you over me, even though you would make an allegation. You can't remember when, where, or how, but you said something happened. No, in a criminal court of justice, in our legal system, you have to have collaboration. That's not happening here.
That's not up to you or me or your listeners.
No, it is up to us to decide. It is up to us to decide when you have people maligning someone, and you're telling me how old are you, Nick?
I'm 37.
Okay, so you can't even say where you were 36 years ago. I can tell you I can't remember what I was doing 36 years ago. But I will tell you that if something happened to me, and I have had issues in my life with that, buddy, I can tell you when, where, and what time those things happened.
All I'm saying is
No. You asked me a question, and I am answering it. And let me just say this. I have never said that young women or whatever, if they're somebody's daughter and somebody did this, have you heard me talk about Harvey Weinstein, Les Moonves, David Letterman, and everybody else that is protected by the liberal media, that it's one-sided?
Right, I have heard you talk about that here and there. Right. So all of those guys are guilty. If this guy is not guilty, let the FBI do their
7 FBI background checks. Dianne Feinstein had this in July. If she really cared about this, Nick, why did she wait until the day before the vote?
Okay, what's there for her? What's her benefit in all of this? You know, here you are sitting, talking about Kavanaugh and what's doing for his family. What about her family? I'm not picking anybody's side. It's not. I'm saying it's not up to us to decide this. You're picking sides. You should be neutral in all of this.
No, I shouldn't be neutral in this. I am picking a side.
No, Brian,
you ever been falsely accused of stuff, Nick?
I have.
You ever have somebody ruin you? You ever lose your job because of unsubstantiated slander and allegations against you? You ever have people that don't know you or know your family say mean, horrible, nasty things about you publicly? Well, I tell you what, Nick, I have. And there's not one shred of evidence. If there is, I will walk to California and apologize to Dr. Ford. But to sit there and talk about my family and this and that, I don't bring my family up, very rarely, because I don't want them exposed to this stuff. I have been run out of towns. I have been called in this town a right-wing extremist. I have been all these things. This show is not about me, but by gosh, if I'm going to sit there and this proves my point about men being attacked. And look, there are other people that go, hey, what do you think? And they're great. They'll tell you how great they are. But this is for the folks. This is for people that have been marginalized and put into closets and have been told to shut up and then accused of things for being a traditional God-fearing American. Appreciate your call. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to Sherry. Is that right? Sherry?
It's Sherry, yes.
Sherry in Boise. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for having me. Hey, one of the things that I've just kind of noticed to the Fox News or, Hannity or NBC or CNN about that the real issue is Roe versus Wade. It really wouldn't matter if it was Brett Kavanaugh or if it was a woman that was a real conservative judge that actually had rulings and thoughts on Roe versus Wade. The Democrats wouldn't care. They just do not want a conservative judge on the Supreme Court that does not believe in abortion. And he's pro-life. And so that's what the real issue is. I mean, you know, I don't have a real opinion when it comes to listening to the hearings. They infuriate me because I think that when Kavanaugh's being put on the spot, I think that he does drink. I don't know that he's drink to act out, and I did. But I can tell you where I was at. I can tell you when it happened. And so I just find it surprising that Dr. Ford at least can't remember where she was. I mean, I could even remember where I was when I blacked out when I was drinking in college. So I just think that the Democrats have used her, and I think that this is all about Roe versus Wade.
And whatever they'll do to derail it.
And, yeah, I mean, again, it wouldn't matter if the Supreme Court justice that they were looking at was a woman. They would come forward and they would have something against her that would get this country riled up and, you know, make it the forefront of the hearing, which really has nothing to do with it. So, you know, again, I just don't hear very many people talking about it. And, you know, I've been a woman in the area. I'm 56 years old. I've been in the man's world for a long time in the car business, and I was fortunate enough to have owners that promoted me to be a GM and run their dealerships in a man's world. And I was harassed greatly, not by my bosses or superiors, but just by men in the industry. And I never cried foul. If they were doing something that I didn't like, I spoke up. And if it jeopardized my career, it jeopardized my career, but I wasn't going to just, you know, step aside because some man was harassing me. So
well, and sometimes you have to
and
sometimes you have to stand for principle.
Well, I think you do. I mean, you know, I get she thinks that it might be her civic duty, but if it's her civic duty, then she needs to have some more facts because, like I said, I drank in college and I drank to excess. I don't drink anymore. But boy, if the times that I did black out or when things traumatic happened to me when I was younger, I can tell you at least where it was and who was involved and about the time period. So I just don't find her credible. And I think it's all about Roe versus Wade. I don't think it's about anything else.
Cherie, thank you for the call. Appreciate you, sir. Ma'am.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. Boy, she was fired up. Eva in Meridian with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Eva.
Hi, Kevin. How
Hi.
are you this morning?
I'm all right, and you?
I'm okay. Thank you for taking my call, and thank you for your program. I appreciate it. I just wanted to respond to one of the comments that Tea Party Bob made with regard to the lieutenant governor. I know that Tea Party Bob is a precinct person in his precinct, a Republican precinct person. He might need to get himself out and go to some of the events and listen to the candidates or meet the candidates and find out exactly what it is that they're doing. I attended a forum last evening at the College of Idaho with the lieutenant governor and the Democrat opponent, and the lieutenant governor was very clear in his statement that he opposes the tax on groceries and would do everything that he could to get it repealed. And so he might need to get out and check some of these things out before he makes blanket statements about their beliefs on the issues.
So your message is do your research, Tea Party Bob.
Exactly. That's what you need to do. You need to go on the website, go down to the campaign office. You know, I'm down there 2 or 3 times a week, and I've not seen Tea Party Bob there. I drive by his house. He doesn't have a Brad Little sign in his yard. I do.
Well, he's listening right now.
You know,
he's listening right now.
Well, good. So these are some of the things that he could do. Go down to the campaign office and check out what his concerns are with regard to the lieutenant governor and his belief on the issues. And come down and volunteer. We'd be happy to have him. There are lots of things to do. Phone calls to be made, packets to be stuffed, signs to be put up, lots of things to do. And ordinarily, that's what precinct people do. So we'll hope to see him down there someday.
Eva, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right. Appreciate your call and listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning. Don't forget Glenn Beck coming up next. More of your calls next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.